everybody. I'm Cheryl from Movieguide, and this is Coffee and Conversation with Testament.
This is what happens next.
It's a new original series streaming on Angel right now, a modern telling of the Acts of the Apostles, a resurrection that sparks a movement that turns the world upside down, spreading hope amid chaos, and the followers who risk everything to preach the good news. Paul, this is Coffee and Conversation, but you're joining us from the UK. You're 8 hours ahead, so you're probably not drinking coffee. You're probably drinking tea.
Yeah, I've gone for a cup of tea, which feels very British. So, it feels right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Why did you want to bring to life the Book of Acts in a modern way?
Yeah, great question. Well, number one, I love the Book of Acts. I think just that story and that, everything it encompasses. I often, when talking to people about this, I often say it's great because it's the unfinished story. You and I right now, we're living Acts chapter 29, which is the unwritten chapter. So there's something just about the Book of Acts which I always have loved. And why in a modern setting? I personally love Tunics and Sandals. I just love those kind of films. I love those kind of projects. But I know a lot of people who don't, and who find it like a separation. And so I get the privilege to preach sometimes at my church, and whenever I'm at church listening to sermons, there's always the speaker is always trying to cast our imaginations as if we were part of the early church, because that's the template, isn't it, for us today? But there's always this out trying to imagine us then, and I was like, well, what if we imagine that now? So it's almost just doing the little flip of it. And really just to invite audiences, whether Christians or not, to kind of go, oh, what might it be like to have this moment happen in our time now? And I think that depending on where you are in your walk, or in your journey with God, your answers will be very different.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 shows, and it was really interesting and very entertaining. And I thought to myself, if Jesus came right now, what would I do? Would I run toward Jesus, or would I run away from Jesus? Is your goal to get audiences to think deeper?
Yeah, I think we'd all love to say that we would run towards. And there are some stories that we've done with some characters that might not go or make the decisions that we want them to make. And that is just to try and, reflect today's society. We tell the story of Jesus and the good news all the time. And yet it doesn't always have the desired effect. People don't just spin around and go. It's like, okay, sometimes it's the road to Damascus moment, and sometimes it takes the 3 years like with the apostles. It's different for different people. But yeah, it's this wonderful, great big story that we just get to try and invite people in to re-engage in a new way. I think sometimes there's this tendency when we hear a story that we think we know, we just cast off and we're like, oh, I know this one, and we disengage. Again, I did a sermon once where I preached on Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach. Now, I've said those names in a different order than I think most people have ever heard them. And I literally saw the congregation sit up confused. I hadn't changed the story. I changed the order of the names, but it made people re-engage with the story. So what I hope is people watch this, if they're already believers, and they just re-engage with the story, whether they come away agreeing or thinking deeper about something, or whether they come away, more convicted about what they already thought. I don't mind. Let's just re-engage with the word again, and yeah, the word should always be changing us. So that's the goal.
Yeah. How closely will a series pull from the Bible?
Fully. I think what's been wonderful. We've now released the first 2 episodes, and the next one's coming out on Monday. I think people have maybe struggled a little bit to try and think before we released it that we're going to be changing the story. So it's been quite fun to people, for people watching to go, oh, you are doing the story of the Book of Acts. Like, everything that happens in the Book of Acts is going to happen in this series. Granted, not in season 1, because we want to do this as a multi-season series. So there will be cliffhangers, but we want to adhere to everything that happens. And of course, the Book of Acts takes place over 20, 30 years. So, there are actual stories that happen in between the verses. So we're also asking what might have happened, or what could have led from A to B to C to D, and trying to tell some of those stories as well.
Are you hoping to capture the audience in a whole new way, or maybe even capture a whole new audience and point them to the Bible?
Both, to be honest. I think I've always thought that there are two types of faith-based movies, or shows, entertainment, and that is the ones for the church and the ones from the church. And the ones for the church, are the typical, when we think Christian movies, it is that stuff that we might, maybe a modern audience might cringe at a little bit, but they're actually very useful, and they're words of encouragement and challenges to people in their walk of faith already. But they might not do so well, in a wider audience that don't already believe. And then there's the ones from the church, which I'm hoping Testament fits into, which is the one that reach out and ask people to engage with a story that they might not have before, and learn about the story, and eventually go to the better version of our TV show, which is just the Bible. It's even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about the cast. Is it correct information that 2 real-life brothers play the Apostle brothers, James and John, on screen?
It is true, and I have the wonderful, wonderful honor of being their brother-in-law as well. So Kenneth Amole and John Amole. And this is where it gets confusing. Kenneth plays John, and John plays James. It's a nightmare on set. But he's also one of the writers of the show. So Faith, his sister, is one of the writers, my wife, and then him. So us 3 write it, and then those 2 brothers play the Brothers of Thunder. So it's always fun. I've always wanted to cast them together, so I'm really glad the opportunity came about.
I wonder if they're Brothers of Thunder off screen as well.
They certainly are. They very much are. I love them for it. It's great. They fight for those who they love. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of the TV shows and movies like The Chosen and King of Kings are doing so well at the box office, and they're really resonating with audiences. Why do you think that is?
Who knows the mind of God? I really, I've no idea. Honestly, I think there's probably 1,001 answers for it, but in truth, none of us really know. There's also a resurgence at the minute or not a resurgence, like a revival happening along with the Gen Alpha generation that I just keep hearing about. So I don't know. Maybe there is this search of meaning in this doom scrolling age for something that actually you might want to stop on, and find some truth in, which wiser men and wiser women than I should answer that question, but I'm happy to be along for the ride.
All right, I'll ask you an easier question. Paul, in closing, what is your hope for Testament?
Well, the effect for Testament, I hope it challenges people. I hope it encourages people, and really just it invites people to engage with the story of the early church, and to engage with the one the whole show is about, who is Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and so that's the hope. But of course, on a practical level as well, I want to do more seasons. I think that every the cast, the crew, we we're really passionate about this story and about this world that we've created to host this story. And yeah, we've got big plans for how we want it to unfold. So yeah, I'd love to just be able to continue the story.
Awesome. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful.
This has nothing to do with our faith.
It has everything to do with it!
Well, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you want more content like this, head over to movieguide.org. Movieguide is a nonprofit organization, and we are supported every day by viewers like you.